Hey cats, it's your midsole man, Ed, pure gel bud here. Got a review on an Asics shoe. This one is the Cumulus 27. Don't think I've reviewed one of the Cumulus range so far, so I'm keen to test this one out. A daily trainer here, lower weight than the Nimbus range, but still using that Flight Foam Blast Plus midsole material. Is there room though for two such similar options in the Asics lineup? Let's find out. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. We have the Cumulus 27 here from Asics. This is a shoe that they've sent me to review, but they're not paying me to make this video, nor will they get to vet my views before my valued viewers get to see them. Sample size weight on this one's about 265 grams or 9.3 ounces, though for my pair in a UK 11 or US 12, I've got 313 grams or 11 ounces on the money, if you like that sort of thing. So that weight puts it exactly in the right sort of space for a daily use shoe, a little bit lighter than something like the Pegasus 41, a touch heavier than something like the Novablast 5, and a little bit lighter than something like Saucony's Ride 18. In the midsole, we've got approximately 44mm of stack height here. Don't forget, this is my UK 11, so bigger shoe, bigger stack. You know, I keep going on about it, right? And I got about 36mm up front here in the forefoot. So 8mm drop. Apparently the sample size is about 38.5 in the heel and around about 30 in the forefoot. So it kind of makes sense somewhere along the lines. I think Asics might do some of their measurements without the insole. That could make a bit more sense of what's going on there. Now I've got around sure a 28 to about 32 at various different points here in terms of the softness of the midsole, so it's around about average really for all the shoes that I've tested over the years. 12.7 centimeters of forefoot width here and 10.7 back here in the heel. That means that this one's actually got a lot more surface area even than that Vomero 18 I tried out the other day. Just a little bit less stack than that shoe as well, and quite a lot less weight. These retail for 140 smackaroonies here in the UK, so that's about a fiver less than the Vomero 18 and about a fiver more than the Novablast 5. We start off the review with the upper first. Engineered mesh here, a really nice lock around the foot. It's a little bit kind of thicker, I suppose, than the upper that we've got on the Novablast 5. Very similar tongue, and the padding is quite close too. Classic stretchy pull tab here, which you may love or may not, and a reasonable amount of padding around here in the heel area. You do have a traditional heel counter. It's quite wide and thick actually, just provide a little bit of stability there if you need it. Apparently this one's made of 100% recycled materials in the upper, so you know, if you're an eco warrior and you love Neil Young, then you're going to be into it. For me, this shoe falls right into the space between the Nimbus and the Novablast, and that's a good thing. Less weight in the materials here in the Cumulus over the Nimbus even, and the overlays are quite a bit thinner than that shoe too. I have to say the upper is really easy to get a good lockdown in. I like the laces, a little bit of stretch to them, and the lace length is spot on. Not quite as plush as that Nimbus 27, but it's a little more built up than the Novablast 5, so if that felt a little bit too slimline, then this one could be up your street. Gotta say, I really like the upper on this one. There's similar gusseting on the tongue as well as per the Novablast 5. Traditional eyelets here as well, there's no weird loops or anything, and reasonable space in the toe box in terms of height and width. In many Asics trainers before, I've wondered whether I could get away with a half size down. I think I'm probably about right in this one. If you've got a wider foot, narrow foot, normal foot, you're going to be okay in the Cumulus. I found pretty much most Asics trainers spot on, true to size, aside of the Superblast 2, where I think going down a half size could actually benefit you. Just a little bit of tongue slide on a couple of my runs so far, but nothing major that like irritated the foot or anything like that. I actually really like the colorway on this one as well. It's kind of odd. I think it's sort of like taupe, I suppose. It's a good colourway if you're running it in some sort of dingy conditions, I suppose. It's not going to get too dirty too quickly. I'll give it a 2.8 out of 3 for the upper so far. Just a little bit of tongue slide to report. Great otherwise. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. So a less dense take on the midsole setup that we've got in the Nimbus. That model now a little bit higher in stack, making room for this one really. I mean, all shoe models these days are pitched around about that 40mm stack height in the heel, and this one's a really nice balance. I have to say I like the drop here. Only a few of the sort of daily shoes have got a very light upper, but I feel the upper sort of comfort and the plush nature of it are a little bit better than something like the Adizero Evo SL. The Cumulus here has a really nice smooth ride, featuring that pure gel section in the midsole that's positioned just above the foam, just below the insole. Helps provide some nice resilient cushion at the back of the shoe. I think if you do heel strike, you're going to find this a nice consistent and stable model without it sort of feeling overtly firm. This appears to be a reasonably small update to the 26, the midsole capable enough at daily paces, which, let's face it, is probably around about 80% of your running activity. For me, around about 8:30 to 8 minutes per mile, really serviceable, stable, and a little more predictable than something like the now very soft Novablast 5. A lot of people have been mentioning to me that that shoe was just a little bit too compressive for them in the heel. This is a great balance. I think Asics have got it spot on. I have to say though, this Flight Foam Blast Plus stuff here is a lot more squishy. It's not quite as dense. There's a little bit more kind of return to it than some of the other shoes that have this supposed material. So maybe there are several different versions of this foam. On my second run in these, I did throw in some faster 1 minute reps, which turned out to be like 5k pace. Not entirely sure how, but this shoe just really works for me for a midsole perspective. Just goes up through the gears almost effortlessly, and I found that it's a lot more versatile than perhaps you ever imagined it could be. I mean, it perhaps wouldn't be my first choice for like a race or something, but I view this one as a really great value daily shoe. You can absolutely get some marathon miles into this one. I think there's even enough cushion here for some longer runs too. I don't think the weight's that high that it's going to really slow you down and make you feel a bit laborious, you know, towards the end of a longer run. 313 grams for my size is actually very good. So it does like to turn up the pace. I wouldn't suggest it's as nimble as something like the Zoomfly 6 over distance, or perhaps that hero shoe, the Superblast 2, but that's a lot more expensive though. It's not far away. There is a slight cutout to the foam underneath the heel, which does amplify the sort of rebound a little bit more. Gotta say, I really like this one so far. A nice surprise. I'll give it a 2.8 out of 3 for the midsole so far. Now, the outsole is an area of this shoe that I was a little bit intrigued about. It's called Fluid Ride. It's a new tech that Asics have been talking about for a little while. It's certainly different to the stuff that we've got on the Superblast 2, the Novablast 5, or the larger Nimbus. Now, this stuff appears very smooth to the touch. What I found is the more you use it, the more kind of coarse it becomes. It's now got some insanely good grip. So if you get this one out of the box and suddenly think to yourself, oh, how can this possibly work? Well, you're in for a nice treat, because the more you use it, the better it gets. I mean, the Superblast original didn't have the greatest traction ever, but yeah, the Cumulus toasts that one. Just got to get it out on a nice bit of concrete or some torn up sort of paths and stuff, and it'll soon, you know, get a bit more grip. You could get your sandpaper out, I suppose, if you wanted to expedite it. I wouldn't test this one out on like gravel or anything like that. I don't think that's really the intention of the Cumulus 27. And it's nice and flexible too, so you've got a little rigidity there of her toe off, but this one's a really nice cruiser, and the outsole actually helps with that. There's a reasonable amount of this rubber here. It's kind of like a foamy sort of rubber, I suppose, and it's quite soft too, so I think it'll be okay as a daily shoe. Again, not sure it's a racer due to that weight, but really impressed with the outsole so far, and it's really easy to clean as well if you've got like a firmer bristle brush. New tech, so we don't know how it's going to hold up, but I'm going to give it a 2.8 out of 3 for the outsole so far. At 140 notes, I think value on this one's pretty decent as well. If the Novablast doesn't work for you, then this ain't a whole lot more expensive. I prefer this shoe easily over that Vomero that I recently reviewed. I know some people have been telling me I'm wrong about that shoe. I've persisted with it. I just can't get anything out of that one. It's a real knee shaker, that one. Build quality is good out the box, very impressive. No dodgy glue marks or anything. Everything's sort of put together well. Always find that with Asics shoes, really. They come out the box, always feels like a quality item. This one fits an interesting position really in the rotation. I feel it could be a very versatile shoe, touch heavier than something like the SL2 from Adidas, perhaps a little bit closer to the Novablast 4 It's got a little bit more consistency about the midsole, and I think that if you like that shoe but the 5 didn't work, then pick up the Cumulus 27. I think you'll really enjoy it. Hard to pick fault really with this one in terms of value at the price. I'll give it a 2.8 out of 3 for value so far. I think my only real worry there is how the outsole's going to hold up over time, and obviously that affects value a little bit. So if I've totaled the scores up correctly, that gives us a surprising 11.2 out of 12 so far for the Asics Cumulus 27. Absolutely one of the best daily shoes I've tried out for a long time. Decent weight, really nice comfortable upper, and sort of lively and exciting, I suppose. Midsole as well. Definitely go and check it out. A surprise. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one down in the comments. Musical interlude time. Beautiful song for you to check out from a fantastic vocalist and guitar player, songwriter from Sheffield, Richard Hawley. I remember him being in the Long Pigs and also in Pulp, but for me his solo material is the pinnacle really of his career, and the song Cole's Corner is one of the best, timeless song. It could have been written, like 80 years ago or yesterday. It sounds so beautiful. Wonderful vocal delivery, instrumentation on Cole's Corner as well. It's fantastic, lovely soaring strings, beautiful melancholy vocal line to this one. It really is fantastic. Anybody who's ever been perhaps stood up on a date or something, the lyrics will really ring true. Fantastic tune. I believe the album this comes from is actually being re-released. I think it's like 20 years after it first came out. It's like a reissue, and he's doing some tours soon. I think he's playing in Weston-super-Mare, so I'm going to definitely have to go and catch him. Richard Hawley with Cole's Corner. Thanks for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the YouTube algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you